Trucketeers. How the devil is everybody? It's a Sunday, it's a fun day, it's also a bank holiday, and I almost didn't go home for the weekend, but hey, we got back. We have had we've had one hell of a week. Yes, you may have seen, but we'll get into that. Oh dear. Right. We'll get straight into the debrief, because I'm going to have a little bit of a talk, we'll say, yeah. So, Monday morning, 6 a.m. we started. We run from the yard, and we went down to West Bay, which is just round the corner, to unload a trailer full of MDF and OSB and some other bits and pieces. And then from there, we run empty to Clark's in Kentisbeare to load 22 bulk bags of Swedes. Yes, when we got that loaded, we then headed towards Spalding. We got there a bit later. Apparently they were expecting me at like 9 o'clock, and I was like, there's me turning up at like 1. So once we got that unloaded, we then headed north of Boston, and we parked up on the A16 for the night. Yes, so we parked at 6 p.m. So we worked a total of 12 hours. We drove 8 hours and 11 minutes, and we done 357 miles. Yeah. That day was alright. That went nice, smooth, quite straightforward. Could probably get a bit further up the road, but nah, it is what it is. So, Tuesday we'll go. Better turn my phone on silent, because it's bound to go off at some point. There we go, that's better. So, Tuesday we started at 5:30 a.m. on the A16, and we run to an industrial estate in Immingham, or near Immingham docks. And we loaded a whole load of corrugated roofing stuffs. Yes. Once we got them, we run down to Southwest Fixings in Winkley. But on the way, I stopped off at Strensham Services, southbound. And some of you may have seen from the short video, or my Facebook, or Instagram, or TikTok, that I reversed into a Bollard. Yes, caused a little bit of damage on the back of the trailer, but nothing major. But we'll get into that a bit later. So we went down to Southwest Fixings in Winkley. We got unloaded, and Dom was there as well, and I had a trailer swap with him so he could take the trailer back I had to get fixed, and I took his trailer on back up to Clark's in Kentisbeare to load up 22 bulk bags of parsnips to go back up to Spalding. So once I got to Clark's, I spent the night in their yard after we got loaded. So we parked up at 7:30 p.m. So we worked a total of 14 hours. We drove a total of 9 hours on the button. We literally stopped as it ticked over on 9 hours, which was incredible. And we done a total of 390 miles, which was very good. We had a good day then. So on Wednesday, we started at 5 a.m. We run from Clark's to Spalding once again, unloaded, and then after we had got them off, we went to Wisbeach to load 12 pallets of potatoes. And then from there, I run to a little place out past Ely. Can't remember what it's called, Little something or other, to load another 12 pallets of potatoes, which I loaded myself because they was out busy planting potatoes, and they said, the forklift's there, help yourself. So I was like, okay. I hope I'm loading the correct ones. I took a picture and sent them to me boss, and yeah, put them ones on. Then from there I run down to Brackley on the A43. I was going to go around the M25 and saw that, but I didn't have enough driving time on a 10 because I had to try and run a 10 as much as possible to get to Camberley, and there was nowhere else really decent to stay, so I decided to go down the A43 route, and we stopped at Brackley instead. Stopped there for the night. We stopped at 7:45 p.m. So we worked a total of 14 hours and 45 minutes on Wednesday. We drove 9 hours and 49 minutes, and we done a total of 397 miles. So yeah, we were definitely on a bit of a flyer this week. And then obviously that was the last day of April, as I'm trying to stall time while I'm flicking to the next page, because there's quite a few pages between months. So on Tuesday the 1st of May, we started at 7:15 p.m. Yes, a late start because I had a late tip that day. So we run from Brackley to Frouds in Verwood. So we unloaded half of the potatoes we had on. Then from there we run to Weymouth to get the other 12 pallets of potatoes off for a different customer. And then from there we run to Bridport. We dropped our trailer off in Gore Cross, and then we run down to Moore's Biscuits to collect another trailer. Which was then for a 8 p.m. tip up in Nantwich. So we had a bit of a mission on our hands that day. we got up to there, unloaded by 9:10, and then from there we run down to like literally the next lay-by because my driving time was very, very short at this point. Pulled in there and we parked up for a rather shaky night in the lay-by. So we finished at 9:30 p.m. We drove a total of 9 hours 49 minutes again. We worked 14 hours and 15 minutes, and we done a total of 391 miles. And then we get on to Friday. Yes. 7 a.m. start, just outside Nantwich. We run from there to St Helens to collect steelwork. We got to the customer at 8:30. By the time we got the steelwork on and was loaded, it was about 1:30. So we were there for quite a while. And then from there, St Helens, I had to head all the way south back down to the yard through all of the bank holiday traffic, which was an absolute nightmare. I didn't think I was going to get back. So we battled a lot of the holiday traffic, but we made it back. We dropped the trailer at the customer in Pie Moor, took all the straps off it, and left the curtains undone so they could unload it today. And then bobtailed back to the yard, and we finished at 9:30 p.m. So we worked a total of 14 hours and 30 minutes. Drove for 7 hours and 51 minutes, and we done 291 miles. So for the weekly totals, I worked over the 5 days a total of 69.5 hours. I put in 1,264 litres of fuel, and I done a total of 1,835 miles. Yes, this week we did 415s. You can't do 415s, John, and you can't work over 60 hours a week. Yes, you can if you have enough break. Remember, when you're on break or POA, it does not count towards your working week. Also, yeah, you can only do 315s in a week. Sorry, I'll count. 315s in a week, unless you have a split rest. So if you have a rest period in the middle of your day for 3 hours or more, like it has to be at least 3 hours or more, then you can then do a 15-hour day for that day, as long as you have a 9-hour rest period at the end, etc., etc. You need your total daily rest needs to total up to 12 hours or something like that. So yeah, we did a lot of hours this week, hell of a lot of hours, but it's all good because I get paid for every hour I do. So I do. So yeah, it was a very, very busy week, and also damage and stuff. But like I said, we'll get into that. But before we get into that, we will go through viewers' questions. So if you would like to ask me a question about anything, it doesn't necessarily have to be about trucking. I will answer it to the best of my abilities, and it's also your way of getting a shout out. So leave a comment below, ask a question. Great stuff. I'll answer it next week. So Mark Foden asks, is the shorter trailer, regardless of rear steer or not, like a small car trailer and harder to steer than having a bigger trailer? I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder, it just turns quicker, so you just... The input, you just put in less input, and you just take your time, and it just goes nicely. I'd say it's never as hard as... A real small car trailer can be the hardest trailer in the world to reverse sometimes. Literally, the one my mum had when she had a Touareg was so small, literally you couldn't see the trailer until it was at a 45-degree angle from the car. It was ridiculous. It was a nightmare to reverse, because you literally could not see it. Yeah, they got rid of that trailer, so that was handy. But no, they turn a lot faster, but it's not dreadful. It's not like driving a car trailer. Right, question number 2 from Vincent Hooper, is it? Yeah. Would you consider going to the Americas to drive long distance? How many years have I been an HGV driver? I've been HGV driving for nearly 7 years now. I got my licence in 2018 of July, or July of 2018 is probably the correct way to say that. So yeah, in 2 months I would have had my HGV licence. Well, I've had my Class 2 for rigid driving in 2018. I got my Class 1 in 2020. So yeah, there we go. So Class 2 for 7 years, Class 1 for 5. Lovely stuff. Would I consider going to America to drive? I'd like to do it as a small thing. I wouldn't like to move over there and do it full time. I'd like to give it a go, but I'm quite happy living in the UK, even with all the rubbish that goes on at the moment. So yeah, I'd like to do it. I'd like to do Canada. I'd like to do America, but at the moment I have absolutely no. It won't be happening anytime soon. We'll put it that way. Question number 3 from David Beeston. Could you explain gearbox arrangements and what the gears are as to what the gears are and the changing procedure. So if I can find a diagram, I'll put it there somewhere. So normally you'd have what they call a 3/3 or a 4/4. So my truck is, I mean, I could explain how I change the gears in my truck. I turn the switch that way and it goes into drive, or I turn the switch that way and it goes into reverse, and I press the pedal and that's it. If I had a manual, then the 3/3 I think is in H pattern. So we'll go from, and you'll be sort of the wrong side of me, won't you? So imagine in your car, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So imagine first gear would be where third is, second gear would be where fifth is, and then third gear would be where sixth is. So effectively you're doing a fork like that. So that's how the 12-speed DAF gearbox is. You have a switch on the side, which is your half gears, and a switch on the front, which is your range split. So 3/3 means you've got 1 gear, 2 gear, 3 gear. You flip the front switch up, and then you go 4, 5, and 6. So yeah. And then the switch on the side is to literally split every gear in half. So effectively you have 12 gears. So when the switches are down, you're in low. When the switches are up, you're in high. So both switches down in the first position is 1. Switch the side up is 2. Switch slide 1 down into 2 is 3. Up is 4. Down is 5. Up is 6. Then you flip the front one, side 1 down. Blah 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 blah. Without having a gear stick here with me, it's a bit more difficult to explain. With a 16-speed gearbox, it's a 4-speed H pattern, so you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch on the front makes you 5, 6, 7, 8, and again the switch on the side is your like half splits essentially. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's sort of the best way I can kind of explain it without having an actual gear stick. If I ever get the chance to sit in one of the other guys' trucks that have, well, we only have one other truck that's manual now. So if I ever get the chance to sit in a truck, I'll do a small video on that at some point and explain how it all works. It's not as difficult as it's made out. I could even do it on my racing sim there, because I've got a range splitter set up on there as well at some point. I just didn't have time to do it for this, because I'm filming this like at 9 o'clock Saturday night, so I've got to get this done, edited, and out to you, uploaded, and get Ashley to do a thumbnail for me. So we're a bit pushed for time. So I'll try and explain that a bit better in its own separate video at some point. Also, you can pre-select the switches as well. You don't have to do them as you move it. So, yeah. Right, Truckin' Lee asks, can you let us know what gear you have in your truck for tramping, and what would you say would be a good idea to get? You seem to ask a lot of questions about what you need for tramping, Lee. I'm going to be honest with you. There's, 10 of us that drive at Keynes, and each one of us will have something different on our trucks. It's something you learn on the job. You'll take a set amount of stuff with you, and as you go, you'll be like, oh, it'd be handy to have this, or it'd be handy to have that, or you'll have something in the truck, you'll be like, I never use that. So you chop and change all the time. I might do a separate video one day going through all my gear. Where when it comes to PPE for work, they should supply that anyway, so you shouldn't have to worry about taking that. Most important thing I say is, it's like when you used to get your mum to pack your suitcase for you when you go on holiday. You need stuff to keep you clean, you need stuff to keep you fed, and, toothpaste, toothbrush, all that stuff, spare clothes. You don't still get your mum to pack your suitcase for you, do you? Yeah, it's pretty much just whatever you think you might need, you take. Go light the first few times, and the more you tramp, the more you realise, this could be handy, that could be handy. Take implements to eat with, your cutlery. Take baby wipes are a big thing to take. Yeah. I'll have to do a separate video going through my gear because there's too much to list off in one piece. So, yeah. I assume that's why you're asking, because I assume you're going to be doing tramping at some point and you're a bit nervous of what you're to take. Whatever you think you're going to need to survive. Something to entertain yourself as well at night. So, when I first started out, I just used to watch videos and that on my phone. That was fine for me for the first 6 months, and eventually I got myself a laptop. And yeah, that's enough for me. I don't need a TV because I watch what I want on the laptop. Right, let's get on to question number 5. David Croucher Jones asks, what info is displayed on the truck's dashboard? Is it just a normal vehicle info, or does it provide driving and working time info, or if so, is it relayed from your tachograph? I notice in your videos sometimes there appears to be a lot of info displayed. Yes, so obviously it displays, you can have it display the speed in miles, you can have it display your air pressure, you can have it display like if your truck's regenerating for the AdBlue and that, you can have it display. Some trucks will let it like show the weights and that of your axles, though they're only a rough estimate. You can have trip times put on there. But 9 times out of 10, I have my tacho information on there, so it doesn't tell you anything about working time other than when you're sort of getting close towards a break and that. But it shows you it shows me all my driving time on there. That's what I pretty much have set, and yeah, it is connected via the tachograph, so it does read what is on the tachograph. So it is very, very accurate. Yeah, it displays a wide range of information. Again, it might be a thing I do a separate video on one day. We'll see. Just depends if I get the time to do it. So yeah, that was that. That is viewers' questions of the week. That's that done. Again, if you want to effectively get yourself a shout out, ask me a question and I'll answer it for you. Right, we'll move on to our next little segment, which is Car of the Week. So obviously as we drive around we see all different cars, and I'm quite particular about certain cars I like. Modern things generally don't do it for me, but as I parked up in Brackley the other day, there was a garage there that does stuff, and outside there was 2 Peugeot 205 1.9 GTIs. Now, they weren't immaculate by any means, but they were still there, and they were still pretty good. You don't see very many Peugeot 205s anymore, let alone the 1.9 GTIs, and there were 2 of them parked next to each other, so that kind of made my day. That was a pretty good one, that. So we'll take that. 205 GTI, and the picture I put up is of the actual cars because I took it while I was there. So yeah, fantastic little things they were. Not a big fan of a lot of French cars, but something about the 205 was a bit special, and it was definitely one of them mad cars of the late 80s, early 90s. It was, well, everyone sought after it really. Right, now we'll get on to the big one. Mayhem on the roads, or in this case, mayhem in a truck park or a service station. So, as a lot of you may have seen, I struck a bollard in Strensham southbound services. Yeah, I held my hands up to it. I'm not fussed. I will make mistakes. Everyone's going to make mistakes at some point. A lot of people left comments saying, I've never made a mistake in my life in my 35 years of driving. I'm not saying you haven't made a mistake, I'm just saying you probably haven't owned up to one. Probably the sort of people that would reverse in, hit a trailer, and then think, oh no, and then pull out and then park somewhere else and then not say nothing. But we won't get into that. So I drove into Strensham southbound with 8 minutes driving time left. So I had a fair amount. I wasn't rushed to get a space. There was another truck in front of me. Wasn't really sort of... I mean, I was paying attention to my surroundings, but I didn't realise they had works going on in there. So as I come in, I was behind another truck. And he was taking his time. I thought, what's he doing? He was, just kind of having a look around. So obviously he's seen that everything's changed. So I've pulled in behind, like, down the stretch where you got the entrance, and all the bays near the entrance, I don't know if it's all of them or whether it's just some, but some of them are now coach bays. The thing is, where these bays are, there was a big patch of tarmac that had been redone with, like, a bit to get through at the back and a bit to get through at the front so you could drive to the other end of the services. Anyway, I tried to get in one of the bays before these cones, and I just wouldn't have made it. So I aborted that and decided, right, I'm going to go around the front of these cones. As I'd done that, another truck pulled out the bay. So, of course, a lot of the truck spaces were not available to get into because of this patch of tarmac that was all coned off, because you just couldn't get in them because you wouldn't have the space to... I mean, I could have probably got in some of them, but I would have had to come out and spun round and would have been a nightmare. So I decided I'm going to park down next to 2 other guys that are parked up in the coach park, the new coach parking. It never used to be coach parking. And there was never bollards there, and there was never a marked walkway there. Okay, some people say it was a walkway, but it was never marked as a walkway. So, of course, I'm sort of paying attention to a truck moving that, and I'm trying to find a space, and I'm like, oh, this coach is parking now, I'm screwed, I need to stop. So I'm like, I'm just going to have to park in the coach parking. I've got no other choice, because I can't park on the ones on my left because of the... Well, just can't, there's no room, they're all taken up. and the only spaces available are the ones in the coach park, and I was like, well, I needed a space. And the thing is, there are other spaces behind the spaces that were on my left, but they're at an angle, so you need to come into them from behind. So I would have had to have spun round, gone all the way back out, and tried to go around the back of the other bays and gone in. So I just thought, I only need a 30-minute break. I'm going to bang it in next to the, pun intended, next to the two other trucks that are also parked in the coach bay. So of course I've gone around this patch of tarmac, and I've had to skew it round and really sort of snake it round. And of course at that point I've gone forward far, and I've come in really sort of shallow to a real tight angle to the bay. So I've had to really skew it in. As I've come past the bay, I've just had a quick look to make sure there's nothing in there. So I've really had to skew it in. I come in and I was still a little bit over the line, so I've pulled forward, just gone back. And normally, when you back into that bay, you normally back up until you're... or how I used to do it and how a lot of other people do it. Because I always used to back up as far as everyone used to do it. And I found out that when you back up, if you line in your mirror where the bumper meets the curb, when you actually stop, you're probably about that far from the curb. So there's, well, probably a bit more, probably about that far from the curb. So it actually leaves a nice bit of space behind you. So, of course, I was like that. Oh, no, I'm just backing up to the curb, and then all of a sudden, bang. I was only doing 2, 3, 4 mile an hour. Literally walking pace, not much at all. And, I struck the bollard that I didn't realise was there, because I just didn't see it. I'm not making excuses. I hit it. I messed up. It is what it is. These things are going to happen. It's not because I wasn't paying attention. It was because I was probably a bit rushed for time, and I wanted to get out of everyone else's way that was trying to manoeuvre as I'm trying to get into this space. So yeah, I'm backing up and crunch. The driver next to me says, I think you've hit the bollard, mate. So I was like, what bollards? So I got out and I went to the back. I was like, how long have these been here? And I'm trying to recall the last time I actually parked there, and I think it was I said about 3 weeks ago, but I think it might be about a month ago was the last time I actually parked in there. But I think I drove through about 2 to 3 weeks ago to go use the fuel pump. So to be honest, that time I drove through, I just wasn't paying attention to the parking space at all because I didn't need to use them. So yeah, just backed in, done it. We literally bananaed the bumper. A lot of people said, you must have really raced into that space. The crash bar on the back of a trailer is designed to slow down a car. It's not designed to be dead solid to capture the weight of a 42. Well, I was weighing 42 tons on that day because I had a 26 ton load and on my truck 16 ton. So I was 42 ton. That bar is not designed to take on the weight of 42 tons. That bar is designed to slow a car down as it strikes the back of you, to stop it going underneath the trailer and decapitating the occupants. So it's designed to be hard enough to stop them going on the trailer, but soft enough that it's not a really, really hard thing to stop. So a lot of people were really confused that a 42-ton truck at 3 mile an hour would bend the hell out of this rear bar. Well, it's called physics. If you spread the width of a car across that barrier, it's not going to bend much at a higher speed impact. But if you put a single point on that in the middle with 42 tons, it's going to bend like butter. It really is. Anyway, first thing I'd done, took pictures of it, sent it to both the bosses, and they were both like, oh, well, that's buggered it then, isn't it? They said, don't worry, we'll get your trailer swapped with someone. Go get the job done, we'll get your trailer swapped, we'll get it back fixed, and then we'll send you on the road with another trailer. Don't worry about it. That was pretty much it. My bosses are very understanding that accidents happen. You know, these things happen. Stuff is going to happen. We do a lot of farm stuff and we go to a lot of horrible places. Damage happens. You know, it's the way some of the people went on in the comments was like, I did it on purpose for like views or attention. That some of the comments are hilarious. I'm going to do a separate video and go through some of the comments. Some of them are hilarious. People get so angry about it, telling me I need to hand my license in or hand me keys in and give up HGV driving, or I shouldn't be driving HGVs because I'm a danger on the roads. It's like, give your head a wobble, mate. Wind your neck in. Calm down. I've knocked a barrier. Jesus Christ. Some people are like, what, there was a kid there. So, well, why is a kid left unsupervised in a truck park? That's my question. At that point, surely it's child neglect from the parents. Yeah, so, yeah, I made a whoopsie. These things happen. Even after 7 years experience, I had an accident. That's it. That's all it is. I'm not trying to get out the fact I've done it. I've done it. Tough, you know. Yeah, I made a little video. I had a little giggle about it. What am I going to do? Stand there and cry? It's still going to be damaged. Yeah, so, yeah, it was quite funny. I thought I'd do a video on it. I thought it'd be funny. Over, what, 450,000 views on Facebook? Yeah, go on my Facebook and go have a look at me reversing to that Bollard and go check out the comments. Trust me, it's funny. It's really funny. Some of the comments I just put on hilarious answers to. Like, some people come on and called me a prick. Well, they come on and just left the comment and said prick. I said, don't worry, mate, we won't judge you. Oh, dear. And someone else said, I can't remember what he said, shit driver or something like that. So I said, don't worry, mate, you'll get better with time. If you're going to come on and just fling shit and beat your chest at me. I've got live footage, actually, of actual super truckers commenting on my, seeing my video for the first time. Yeah, that's literally what it's like. It's just alpha male beating their chests and flinging shit everywhere, so. That's to them. Accidents will happen. It happened to me. It's going to happen to someone else. I'm not the first one to hit them bollards, and I won't be the last. So, yeah. That's my piece on that, and we'll leave it there. So, that's that part. So, we will now get on to my favourite comment from the week. So, my favourite comment from Julie Danks is actually from Robert Danks. So, obviously, you use your wife's account on YouTube or whatever. You said, hey Jono, you're putting out some really good videos lately, so well done. Thanks for entertaining us, and congratulations on 11,000 subs. You deserve it. Robert Danks, Wednesbury. Thank you very much, Robert. That's very, very kind of you. Fantastic. It's really comments like this that make me feel happy about doing what I do with these videos. Obviously, it makes people happy. Yeah, and 11,000 subs. I just want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you for that. It's been incredible the last few weeks, like the massive income of subscribers I've had. So I'm hoping everyone that has come along to the channel is enjoying the content and it's all good. And I hope I come across as professional as I can. That's another thing people said about me crashing. Oh, you think you're a professional driver? I said, professional enough to own up to an accident. But yeah, I like to think I come across as professional, and I think people like what I do because I'm honest, and I do show my mistakes. I will always show my mistakes. It's just something. It's just who I am. So yeah. So thank you very much, Robert. So that's that. That's this week's debrief. So take it easy, look after yourselves, drive safely. Thanks for trucking around with Jono, and I will see you next week. Oh yeah, by the way, Monday Stornoway video, check it out. It is fantastic. It is. I'm really proud of this one. So Monday's video, please everyone go check it out. Take it easy.